This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. Most people, including myself, thought that after 2024, President Trump clearly made JD Vance the heir to the MAGA movement. And let's be clear about one thing. I still think as of now, there is like a 90% chance come 2028, JD Vance will be the Republican nominee because he's currently the vice president. And why would Trump pick him as vice president if he didn't intend to make him his successor? Why? It's as if, yeah, JD Vance will be the nominee come 2028. But even though it's still a 90% chance that happens, it seems like in the last couple of weeks, there has been kind of a brewing question within the GOP, at least within the Trump administration, as to will it actually be JD Vance? Even though there's a 90% chance he will be the nominee, just look at the polling right now. He's at like 55, 60% in basically every single poll. Second place at like 5%. Right now, he is a clear front runner. But look at this headline from Axios. JD or Marco Rubio? Trump is asking advisors about 2028. And yes, this is real. This is from Axios. And it's been reported that in the last couple of weeks, President Trump has been asking around about 2028. I still think he's going to pick Vance, but he's starting to ask, hey, should it for sure be Vance? Or maybe should it be Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who most people would agree has been one of the biggest surprises of the second term. He's been a phenomenal Secretary of State. He's done a lot of good things. He has clearly changed from where he was back in 2016. Has everybody forgotten how bad he was back then? That's how good he's been. People have kind of just forgot he was dog shit back in 2016. It was awful. He was a neocon. He was a principled conservative, supported amnesty. But now he is running around and saying, hey, we got to put Americans first. We have to fix our immigration system. And he's going to Western Europe and telling them, we got to save Western civilization. And you guys are failing. He has been saying a lot of good stuff. I know it's talk, but even then, he has taken a lot of good actions as Secretary of State that I think does warrant a serious discussion as to what do you do with Rubio. And I've been clear about this for a while, that I think the best option is JD Vance for president and Marco Rubio for vice president. I still think right now that is the ticket, but that could change. And now Trump is asking, hey, wait a minute. Rubio has done such a fantastic job that maybe he should actually be the nominee in 2028. President Trump has a new parlor game. He's sprinting on advisors, JD Vance or Marco Rubio. That is, do people favor the vice president or Secretary of State to sit atop the GOP ticket to succeed him in 2028? Trump asked casually, but increasingly several sources tell us. So it's sounding like that Trump is still, in my opinion, he's still with the mindset of, okay, Vance is going to be the nominee, and more than likely, it's going to be Rubio. Let's cut the crap. It's been decided, or kind of. It's kind of been decided unofficially, but it's going to be Vance Rubio, more than likely. But it sounds like Trump is beginning to think, wait a second, maybe we should ask around to for sure make a decision. Should we stick with Vance, who currently is the successor, or do we look at Marco Rubio? Trump is focused on his legacy as his last midterm election approach, and he believes there are no better standard bearers for it than Vance and Rubio. And honestly, I agree. I think Vance and Rubio right now, they are the best options to be the successors of President Trump. Imagine saying that 10 years ago about Rubio, or even, let alone Vance. Vance was never Trump in 2016, and Marco Rubio, everybody knows, he was pro-amnesty. He was a neocon. He was a war hawk. But now, both have become such fantastic parts of this administration that you really got to question, do you for sure go with Vance? I still think yes. I still think Vance is better on most issues than Marco Rubio. But at the same time, Rubio has done such a great job that do you really want to waste him as vice president? Because that's kind of a weird thing to say. I know, like, if it happens to Vance, he would be president. But most of the time, The vice president doesn't do anything. And that's the problem. Do you really want to take Marco Rubio away as Secretary of State when he's done a fantastic job? I don't know. Trump favors Vance. It's why he chose him as a running mate. But Trump has notably and increasingly praised Rubio in public and private for his rising profile as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. And I really think that speech he gave in Munich, Germany, that was the speech that really put Rubio back on the map. Now, everybody before that was saying it's going to be Vance Rubio. Everybody was saying that. Let's be clear about that. But before that, nobody was seriously saying, oh, Rubio right now is presidential material. But that speech he gave, and I know some people are saying he's a fake. He's just saying the stuff we want to hear. Even though he's done some good stuff, I understand that is a concern with Rubio. But guys, go watch what he said. Go listen to what he said in Munich, Germany. It was a phenomenal speech, a very important one at that, because he was telling Europe, hey, you guys got to wake up. We got to save Western civilization. The West is on fire. We have a disaster brewing. We have to wake up now. And that's why I think that speech, it put him on the map, because he was the first Secretary of State in years to say anything like that. Behind the scenes, Trump enjoys gossiping, revels in playing people off one another, and freely airs private musings. All 5 sources spoke with Axios and relayed Trump's discussions with them, cautioned against interpreting this as Trump souring on Vance. And I agree with that. Guys, just because we're saying Rubio's chances of becoming the nominee, it's gone from 1% to probably like 5% right now. That does not mean that Trump hates Vance. Far from it. He still thinks right now Vance is a successor. But I think right now, Trump is just thinking long term. Even after Vance, like after JD Vance, who's his successor? Well, it would probably be Marco Rubio. And that's what I think Trump's trying to get at here, trying to figure out the long-term plan. And if something crazy happens to Vance, you got Rubio now. That's kind of what Trump, I think, is trying to get at here. He's trying to figure out for sure, okay, we have Vance. He's the number 1 option. Something happened to him. Who's the second best option? Is it DeSantis? No. Maybe it's now Rubio. Vance Rubio is a president's dream ticket for 2028. And to be clear, that's Vance on top. Senate Trump advisor whom the president recently asked to share opinions about the top of the ticket. But would Trump be happy with a Rubio-Vance ticket? Absolutely, the source said. In other words, he's fine with either. He's not going to be upset if Rubio advances the ticket instead of Vance Rubio, but he still prefers Vance Rubio. He just prepared for all possible scenarios. Something happens to Vance, something happens to Rubio, or something crazy occurs. You want to have some backup plans, because Trump right now, like this article says, he is focused on his legacy. His lasting legacy, he wants to make sure it does not become Reagan 2.0 or what happened with Bush. He does not want the same thing to happen. He wants to make sure, okay, these successors I got planned, they're actually good. They're not dog shit. They're not like H.W. Bush. It's going to be something good. Vance's political advisors, who, if he runs as widely expected, would form the backbone of a 2028 presidential campaign. Rubio lacks that infrastructure and has made clear he's fine with Vance being the guy. If J.D. Vance runs for president, he's going to be our nominee, and he'll be one of the first people to support him, Rubio told Vanity Fair last year. And that's obvious. And even to this day, Rubio is still supporting Vance. That the understanding is it's going to be Vance Rubio. So the whole point is, yes, they're talking more about it. Let's be clear. Rubio's chance of becoming the nominee, it's gone up. But Vance is still the overwhelming favorite. This idea that some people are pushing that, oh, now Rubio is surging. He's going to be the nominee. You have a lot of people saying that. You have a lot of people trying to sow discontent within the Republican Party. It's bullshit. That is complete horseshit. The reality is they're just looking at all the possible scenarios. They want to make sure it does not end up like H.W. Bush after Reagan. Reagan picks H.W. Bush, and we all know what happens. It becomes a shit show. The Republican Party nearly dies. And Trump does not want any of that. The men are close friends who serve together in the Senate, as do their chiefs of staff, who are also close friends. Trump last year made clear that Vance is most likely his heir apparent because, in all fairness, he's the vice president. But Trump added that his preference is for Rubio to get together with JD on the ballot. And that was kind of the first confirmation that, yeah, that's the plan. That's Trump but admitting it's going to be Vance Rubio. They're good friends. They served in the Senate. And I think they've kind of known for a while that even before he won, it was going to be Vance Rubio in 2028. That's kind of been a foregone conclusion for a while. And I also think Trump is realizing there are people like Ted Cruz. They're running around and they're trying to say, I'm the future of the GOP. We got to go back to a principled GOP. And Trump does not want that to happen. Again, he does not want a crazy scenario where Ted Cruz or God knows who else wins the nomination and the party's dead. He does not want that. So he's making it clear it's Vance or Rubio. That's the whole point. And for those that forgot, Marco Rubio, originally, he was going to be Trump's VP. People kind of forgot about this, but he was going to be Trump's VP in 2024. But then he got shot, and then I think Trump kind of realized, oh, we need somebody like Vance on the ticket. Rubio's great. He clearly demonstrated that as Secretary of State, but you need somebody like Vance on the ballot. He wants a real successor. He wants somebody he knows for a fact would be phenomenal after him. And he wants kind of a life insurance policy. I know it sucks to say that, but that's the reality of it. JD Vance was kind of life insurance for Trump. So at the end of the day, Trump is right now still with Vance. And even if something happens, if Rubio becomes the nominee, Trump does not hate Vance. There's some people trying to make it sound like, oh, Trump, he hates JD Vance. He regrets picking him. No, he's just asking around. He's asking, hey, something happens with JD or something crazy occurs. Maybe Rubio is that successor if something happens. Vance has a major disadvantage compared to Rubio when it comes to Trump-style thinking. Their jobs, which place Rubio in the news far more than Vance. And of course, Trump consumes the news a bunch. And that's the thing with Trump. I know it's kind of stupid, but the reality is he kind of does this where, oh, the Wall Street Journal or Fox News or whatever outlet's talking a lot about Rubio. That does not mean he's going to pick Rubio. It just makes him think, oh, maybe Rubio could potentially, maybe, possibly, maybe not be the nominee in 2020. That's Trump in a nutshell. It just makes him think for a little bit that he realizes, still gonna be Vance. But also, a quick reminder that Vance, he has twin responsibilities in the administration. He's both a Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. People forget about this. He is currently the National Security Advisor on top of being the Secretary of State. So that actually benefits him a bit more to be close with Trump because he's going to be doing way more stuff than the usual Secretary of State does, especially within the White House itself. So I do think at the end of the day, Rubio's chances is going up. But guys, let's cut the crap. It's going to be Vance Rubio. It's not going to be Rubio Vance. Like, it could happen, I guess. Worst case scenario for Vance, something happens and Trump decides to make Rubio the successor. That is entirely possible. But right now, I don't know if you can really say Vance is not the front runner. He clearly is. Now, again, there are a lot of questions about, should you really take away Rubio from Secretary of State and National Security Advisor? If he's done such a great job, do you really want to risk it? Because there might be some other decent options for Secretary of State. Well, like maybe Tulsi Gabbard could be good. I don't know. But do you really want to run that risk and have Rubio be vice president and be like Vance, where he does some good stuff, he says good stuff, but he really doesn't do anything. Not enough compared to what he should be doing. I don't know. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.